Today on Melanated Conversations, we amplify the voice of Tanisha Townsend, Chief Wine Officer, Product Influencer, and host of the podcast, Wine School Dropout. Tanisha is an entrepreneur, educator, and American expat living in Paris, France, where she creates not only wine and cocktail experiences for novices, but she also used her knowledge and expertise to develop a training program. In today's chat, Tanisha shares her own personal story of a major career change. And of course, we chat all things wine. So pour yourself a glass and listen in as we chat with Tanisha Townsend of Girl Meets Glass and host of Wine School Dropout. Welcome to Melanated Conversations, our narrative from our perspective.
Here on the podcast, we are amplifying the voices of Black women and sharing their powerful stories of transformation.
I'm Tyrion.
And I'm Yana. Let's start the show.
Welcome back to another episode of Melanated Conversations.
Yes.
I'm your co-host, Tyrion.
And I'm your co-host, Yana.
We are so excited. We've got a special guest with us today, Miss Tanisha Townsend.
Yay!
Yay! Welcome, Tanisha. We're so excited to have you today.
Thank you. I'm so excited to be here.
Yes. Were you about to say something?
No. I'm excited for this chat, y'all.
Yeah, this is gonna be
y'all
fun.
know, we talking one of my favorite things today.
What?
All I'm going to say, yes. So raise your glasses.
Yes. I don't have nothing else to go but take a sip. Take a sip.
No, we're excited to chat with you today, Tanisha, and talk all things wine and spirits.
Hey, I love a good spirit.
Maybe not spirits.
All of it, I'm here.
Yes.
You know.
But before we, kickstart things, we always like to kickstart with a little round of rapid fire questions.
Pew, pew, pew.
Pew, pew, pew. You laughing at our sound effects, Tanisha?
No, I'm just laughing, thinking like what these questions could be. I hope it's like, I don't know.
I feel like these would be
hot dogs. Like,
Yeah, no, these are good questions.
Yeah, these will be good for you because we want to keep our question say is going to stick close to our topic, which is all things wine.
Yeah.
So I'm just going to throw it out there. We're talking wine today, so I want to know right off the bat, red or white?
Today, red.
Oh, today. Okay.
Today.
Tomorrow it can change. Next week it could be something different. But today, red. Also, because winter, I'm always leaning toward red.
Okay.
It's spicy. It warms you up on the inside.
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
I'm with you on that. I roll with red too, and I'm gonna tell you why.
Why?
And maybe Tanisha, you're probably going to school me on this today if I'm wrong, but typically red wine is served room temperature. It's not chilled, and so I just need to get to my glass the quickest way, and I'm ready to partake.
You got time to be pulling nothing out the chiller.
I ain't got time to wait for it to get chilled. I just need to get my glass.
That is a good rule of
That's fair.
Yeah.
I give you that one.
That's fair. Yeah.
That's fair. I'm gonna actually go red as well. For the longest, I actually would stay away from reds, and I think it's just because I just didn't understand or I didn't like the taste. But as my palate has matured, I actually do prefer red wine. But wine, I like it. So
It's fine with me.
it's fine with me.
Wine is fine.
Yes. Okay. Next rapid fire question. When it comes to pairing your wines, do you prefer chocolate, cheese, or meat?
I think I might say cheese. And I say cheese because there is so much cheese available here.
Yeah.
And like fresh, amazing, funky, creamy, strong cheeses. Yes. Ooh,
Yeah.
I just got excited.
Yeah,
I could hear it.
girl. I'm
Right.
like, I need to get me
Cheese is like
some.
a trigger word. Okay. No, I'd probably say cheese, because it is in such plentiful supply. And you don't have to do anything. Like meat, you actually have to prepare that, cook it, do something to it.
Yeah.
Cheese, you don't. Like, you don't even need a knife or a fork, really.
That
is true.
That's very true. I didn't even think about
Give
that.
me some entertainment crackers, a little brie. But yeah, that's a hard decision. That's a hard choice for me because, especially when it comes to cheese and chocolate. But y'all know me. I am a chocolate girl.
Yes, you are.
I love my chocolates.
Yes, you
And I
do.
love my wine. And I love them together. And I love them apart. So I'm going to go with chocolate.
Chocolate. Chocolat.
Chocolate.
Okay. I can see that. My answer actually isn't in the list.
Oh.
You going wrong?
I'm going
How
rogue.
you gonna ask the question, throw out the question, and then give us the option?
I'm gonna answer one of the options, but I'm gonna give you my first option. What I like with to pair with my wine. Wine. I want another glass of wine with my wine.
Pair with my glass.
Yes. Two pairs. I want
like
a pair.
it too, yeah.
I want a pair of wines with my wine. Okay. No, in all seriousness, I was going to say meat, but I didn't even think about the fact that sometimes you do have to, prepare your meat and all those things. But I'm a meat girl. I like meat. But my second choice would probably be chocolate as well. I like chocolate.
Okay.
And I didn't realize how much I like chocolate with wine, especially red wine. So, yeah.
It is delicious.
Yeah.
I can't eat as much of it as I can with cheese.
Got it.
That's
Yeah.
true. Cheese is
And
more
also,
versatile.
I think
That
it's
is
because
true.
being here, like having fresh fromageries around where you could just walk in and get like 7 types of cheese and then go home and eat it. Like, it's different.
That is true.
Yeah.
That's very true.
Now, also, you mentioned red wine with chocolate. I have done, I took ladies out to Champagne and we did a champagne and chocolate tour.
Really?
Yes, at one of the champagne houses. And the chocolatier came out and he spoke and he talked about why he matched certain chocolates with the champagne. So think about that next time you have some chocolate.
I shall. I've never even thought about that.
Yes.
Okay, champagne. Sounds good to me.
Ooh. Well,
Tip number 1.
all right. Well, we're about to get into it because I have so many questions to you. It's Terry and I. We both we loves our wine. So
Yes.
when we connected with you and found out about your platform and everything that you're doing, it was like we have got to chat with her.
Yes.
So thank you for connecting with us and saying yes.
Absolutely.
And
A pleasure.
before we go into kind of a little bit about what you're doing now, and for those new listeners, we're chatting with Tanisha Townsend. She's actually in Paris, you guys, Paris.
Yes, Paris.
So she's going to kind of share a little bit about that and that experience. But before we go into everything else, can you, Tanisha, tell us a little bit about you and a little bit about your origin story?
Ooh, origin story like to the earth or origin story like to France? Like to Earth. So there were 2 people in the south side of Chicago that met. No, I'm kidding.
No, I was fair.
Come on, we was in.
Right.
Yeah, we were in.
That story took place a while ago. But no. But origin story, just going back, started grew up south side of Chicago, had a regular, middle class Black girl upbringing. Went to college in North Carolina, then moved to DC to live my best life as a information technology professional. Got into that and was like, don't really like it. And was really into, I don't know if it sounds weird, really into crime and got really into forensics because all those shows were out back then. And so went and started a master's degree in computer forensics. It was hard. I was stressed out. So I thought, why not drink some wine? Because that's what people think to do to relieve stress. Well, in DC, there are a lot of wineries in Maryland and Virginia. So I started going to wine festivals. And I was at this one festival and got very fascinated by this particular wine. Had I known how important it would be for the rest of my entire life, I would have remembered that wine and the person I talked to, but I have no idea who that was. So there's that. But drank the wine and was talking to the winemaker and was trying to understand the flavor profile of the wine. I was like, but I taste like cherry and strawberry. He's like, yeah, it's in the wine. I was like, oh, so you crush the strawberries and the cherries, you like crush those into the wine. He was like, no, it's just in the wine. I was like, oh, so you filter it in, like after you filter it through the fruit juice? And he was like, no. Like, I wish y'all could see. He's like, no. What? And I was like, oh, so it like grows next to the strawberries and the cherries. Like the grapes grow next to it in the vineyard all together. And he was just like, oh my God. Like, this conversation can't be going in this direction. I'm like, no, really. And like, I could not understand how the flavors of these other fruits got into the wine.
Yeah.
So I couldn't keep asking him questions. Other people were starting to line up and I was monopolizing his time. So in typical Tanisha fashion, I was like, well, I should take a class on this. So I signed up for a certification class, and that was my first wine certification class. It was WSET level. I think that was level 2 at the time. Took that. Then I was all in, fascinated by it. Started working for a guy in wine marketing. And then the wine thing just kind of, went on from there. And it just kind of kept building up. And eventually led me here to where I am now. Wow. So that's like the wine part of the story. The other part of me is just always wanting to do something new and never being too scared to change things. Didn't really I've been working on this too long, I can't give this up now, or I'm too old to change, or you have to keep this one career, you gotta, keep pushing. No, I changed a lot. When I think back to what I wanted to do when I was in high school, then college, changed my major in college, then went to one job, then went to another job, then went to grad school, and now I'm doing none of those things. That's kind of a part of me as well. So all of those make up Tanisha.
Love it.
Love it.
Love that. Tanisha, we know that you're an expat. Can you share with us and our listeners about that process and experience? And then my follow-up to that is, why Paris?
So why Paris? That's probably the easier part of all of this.
Okay.
Paris, because that's where the opportunity was. That long story I made short, I shortened this part. There was a woman that I had met during my travels and things in wine, and we kept in contact. And she sent me an email. She was like, hey, you mentioned that you have experience teaching, because I was teaching wine courses at a university in Maryland. Mm-hmm. And she was like, you have experience in teaching, and you mentioned you might want to, live somewhere else and do something different for a little while. My school is looking for someone to guest lecture for a semester. You think you're interested? P.S. Remember, I'm in Paris. And I was like, well, so I'm packing my bag now. I can be there next week. This is what we're going to do. So, okay, it didn't happen that fast, but that's why Paris.
Okay.
So I came over for a semester for that, did that for a semester, and thought like, okay, I'll probably get this whole abroad thing out of my system, get the Paris thing out, it'll be fine.
Yeah.
No, I fell more in love. It was like, Paris is, yes, this is it. I don't want to leave. So I figured out how to make it work.
Wow.
And here we are, 5 years later.
Wow, 5 years.
Wow.
Yeah, 5 years.
So what can you tell us a little bit about that process?
Yeah.
How is that?
Sorry. That was the actual question.
No.
Circling back. Yes.
It's okay.
So the process was, when I first came, you can come to anywhere in the European Union, so like France, Spain, Portugal, anywhere in the EU for 90 days on an American passport. You don't have to do anything. You just have your American passport and come stay here for 3 months. Anything longer than that, you have to apply for a visa, whether it's a long stay tourist visa, whether you're getting a working visa, a professional visa, a student visa. You have to figure that part out. When I first came, I came on my passport. Then when I was like, I love it, I got to figure out how to come back. When you do your passport, it's 90 days in a 180-day period. So since I was here for 90 days, I had to be back in America for another 90 days to make the 180 days before I could even apply for the visa.
Okay.
So I'm back home for 3 months. I'm like living with my parents. It was a whole situation. Like, who wants to do that as an adult? But also, like, I'm about to set up a life knowing I'm trying to get up out of there.
Right.
So applied as a student, because at the time you could be a student if you take language classes. So I came over as a student initially and took intensive language classes to get over here for my first 2 years. After that, I changed over to a professional visa. So I renew that every year until some French guy snatched me up and we get married. And then I can just be on his status.
Come on.
So I'm just trying to put that in the atmosphere. This is me manifesting citizenship. So there's that. Yeah, if he's in the wine industry, that's cool too. Or a restaurant. He could be a chef. It's fine.
I might have a question for you offline. We'll wait till after you finish. I just thought about another question.
Girl.
I'm not going to ask you on here.
Oh, okay. Well, kind of
Did I
backtracking.
answer the question? I'm sorry.
Yeah,
Yes, you did. I'm interested in kind of hearing a little bit more about how life has been like for you in Paris. Yeah. How is it like living in Paris?
It's different. Very, very different. Because people's first question is also like, oh my gosh, so you're fluent in France? And I'm like, well, no. Not quite. We can get around in certain situations, but in some things, like when I do anything government or official, I try to take a friend with me because I know it's going to be stuff I miss. And I don't want to miss any of that. But just like in general conversation, I can get through that enough that I'm fine. I still take conversation classes and stuff now. So that's one part of being here, the language. On the flip side, 90% of people speak English, which is also why my French hasn't been able to get to the fluency level that I'd like it to be. If I was in the countryside or a small town, then we wouldn't have this issue. But a lot of people speak English. There's also a very large American community. 95% of my friends are American.
Oh, wow. Really? Okay.
Yes. Another reason people are like, you need French friends. I'm like, well, how is that going to work? I'm just walk up to them, bonjour. And then the rest of the conversation got to be in English because like 3 words.
Comment allez-vous?
Right. Je m'appelle Daria.
Right. Je m'appelle Tanisha.
Yeah.
And then start talking and it's like, nope, didn't get any of that. Well, this was fun. And then walk away. Like, that's it. So, that's not going to work. So yeah, my friends are American, so that's been cool. Other parts of life, culture is a big difference. I can say culture shock, even to this day, like even to now, something still shocked me about how they work as a society and how they think. Like, I don't know if this was reported in the States, but there were just metro strikes. So literally the transportation system was on strike. And when I say on strike, I'm like, it wasn't running.
Yo, that's wild.
For 6 weeks, and that's like how everyone gets everywhere. So think like if in New York, the trains were like, nah, not today.
Yeah. Sorry, I don't mean to cut you off. Me and my husband and my girls, we went to Paris last March for spring break. And that's literally, I think we tried Ubers for a couple of days and was like, you know what? Let's try the metro system. And it was like, why hadn't we been doing this since we got here? And literally the quickest way to get around the city and even on the outskirts was to take the metro. That's wild to think that the metro system was on strike. For how long?
I was 6 weeks. Like it just stopped like today.
Oh, wow.
Like they're running. It started December 5th.
Yo, that's crazy. Yeah. I didn't mean to cut you off. I'm sorry.
No, it's fine because that's a whole, listen, people have gotten into full arguments about it. So the trains weren't running except for 2 lines because those are automated. So those were running all the time. But like I had to walk 40 minutes to get to that line. So it was dumb. The buses were running when they felt like it. It could be like maybe 1 bus out of 5. Like it would normally be 5 buses in a time period. It would only be 1. So clearly that bus is super packed.
Right.
So that was a whole situation in the month of December. So for a little while, I was like, I'm not going anywhere. If I can't walk, I can't be a part of it. So the culture thing, just the way they think. Striking is something that they just do. There have been so many strikes since I've been here. The trains regularly go on strike. There was a time period where the trash workers went on strike. That was probably the hardest of my life. That one. Because at the time, the street I lived on had 10 restaurants, and they weren't picking up any of that trash.
Oh, no.
So I was just like, please don't let me get rats. Please. Like that was literally my wish. Just maybe they can't climb up these stairs. I live on the 5th. Maybe they'll just hang out around the 1st and the 2nd.
Right.
I was fine. Nothing happened. It was good. No worries. And then the trash workers came back, got it all together. But culture, their way of thinking. I do absolutely love the food options. The pastries that France has, I don't love. Anything, any cake, pastry type, the bread, all of it's fantastic.
Yeah.
Oh,
I have a quick question because
Yes.
you know you touched on you hit a strong nerve when you started talking about food with me. When you combine that with wine, I'm good. But so I always talk about, and my listeners probably like, here she go again about these buns. I talk about these bun candies, and we used to sell them. I remember I was in the French club in high school, all through high school, and that was one of the things that we sold. And they were by this company called the Eiffel Tower Company. It's not like the chocolate bun, but more of like it's like a soft, chewy, fruity candy that is a little addictive. Do they sell those and eat those actually? Like, are they like just like in your local store? Like, oh, let me get some buns, or we're just crazy about them here in the U.S. Because
I think y'all are just crazy about them in the U.S.
see, I figure. But hey, if I'm gonna send you a picture of them.
Yeah, I
And
was gonna say you gotta text me a picture. It's candy.
yes, it's candy.
Is it like a taffy?
It's like a taffy. I'll have to send you. I will send you a picture because I might need a French plug, a French connect. That can give me
Yeah, let me know because sometimes I'm a smuggler. Foie gras exists here. So I smuggle foie gras and butter.
I love it.
I like that too.
Hey, okay, let's talk about it.
But no, you were saying that you like the food, and you were telling us a little bit about the culture.
Yeah, sorry, I was about how it's different here. Food, they take food so seriously. So seriously. Pastries even more. So bread, like they have competitions for the baguettes. Like they have baguette tastings and award winners of best baguette in Paris or best baguette in France. Also serious about their chocolate. That's like a whole thing.
I can see that.
Definitely.
Anything else, there's like a huge difference. I think the culture shock, the way that people are, service was a big thing for me when I first got here. You know, in America, if you go into a restaurant, hello, how are you? Party of three? Sure, right this way. You walk in a restaurant here, you might stand there 10 minutes, or you might have to wave them down to get them to come over. You get to a table, they're not always, and I hate saying this, but, and it's weird to say, it's not that they're not helpful, they just will answer the question you ask them. If I walk into a store, hey, I'm looking for this one in purple, we don't have it.
I mean, I don't know what else to tell you. We don't have it. That's
Like I don't have time to be pleasant with you.
Right. Now, if I walk in America and say, hey, I'm looking for this one in purple. Oh, I'm so sorry. We don't have it in purple, but we have it in green, blue, orange, red, pink.
Right.
Whereas here, I'm looking at the sweater in 5 other colors. They have said not one word about these other colors, or that they have purple short sleeve ones.
But that's not what you wanted, Tanisha.
That's true.
That's not what
They
you
like,
wanted.
You didn't ask for that.
We give me what you
So
want.
clearly.
And that's the thing. It's like, I don't know what I don't know to ask you. Like, I can't ask you what I don't know. I can't. Do you want me to go through all the colors? Okay. Do you have the sweater in purple? No. You have the sweater in yellow? No. You have the sweater in blue? No. Do you want to just tell me the colors you do have in?
Right.
So limit.
Let me list them off for you. Do you have any of these colors right here?
Right. I'm going to just pull out a box of crayons.
Exactly.
What colors do you have in this?
Colors of sweater that you have.
Yes. That's probably a better way of asking.
Yeah. But on the flip side of that, now when I come back home to America, sometimes I get annoyed because people are too helpful. Hey, can I do anything? Hey, do you need anything? Hey, you want to try that on? Hey, I can put that in the fitting room for you. Oh my God, get away from me. I'm fine. Okay, I'll come find you when I need you. Especially in a restaurant, I don't want any more water. I don't need your napkins. I don't need a straw. I don't need another fork.
No, I get that. There's balance. We just like a little balance.
That's all.
Yeah.
You know, we know how we are. We're like, I don't need you all in my face every 5 minutes. Like, ma'am, if I need it, I'll ask you for it. If not, keep your distance. I'm good. We good over here.
Yeah. Last time I was home, my friends are laughing. They're like, oh my God, you're so French. I was like, no, it's just that they're never at the table. And now I come to America and they're literally always at the table. I'm like, why don't you just pull up a chair? Sit with us.
What did I tell you? What did I tell you, boo? I was like, we would go to dinner and you would just be sitting there for, like, they would ask you, like, if you wanted something, you'd be like, no, I just want this one thing. They're like, you sure? It's like, no, like, this is all we want. And then you wouldn't see them for like 20 minutes.
They're never coming back.
They never come back.
Ready. Don't not be ready when they come over to take your orders. Like, oh, I need a few moments. Yep. Oh, okay, a few moments. Got you.
Yep.
An hour later, they're like, would you like to order now? Oh my God.
Exactly.
And shout out to our Parisian listeners. 'Cause
Yes.
we have a big listening.
We do.
A lot of followers in Paris. So
Merci beaucoup.
I hope they don't get mad at me for this. I'm sorry, y'all.
No,
I love it here. I'm still here. Some people are like, well, why don't you just go back? No, I'm not going back to America. I'm staying here.
Yeah, no,
I have a moment where
yes, we love you. We
Yeah.
love y'all's culture. We love the food.
Yes.
We love the wine.
We love it all.
We love it all.
And back to the wine.
Back
to the wine.
Yeah, yes, keep us back
to the
on
wine.
returning to the wine.
Returning back to the wine. Tanisha, how did you get into the wine industry? Because you told us about you went to the event and you were asking all the questions, but like specifically once you got like after you'd been teaching this course, like how did you decide, oh, like I'm going all the way in, I'm gonna jump into this? And then my follow-up question to that is, do you operate in a full-time capacity in this space? You strictly do wine tours, tastings, all that?
Okay, so how I first got into it was after the initial certification class. I met a guy in DC that was starting a wine marketing company, a wine marketing firm.
Okay.
Just like, hey, I think you'd be great to come work with me. I'm starting this firm up. I was like, okay. As if I don't already have enough stuff going on because I had a full-time job. I was in grad school. And I'm like, well, of course, let's do some wine marketing. And so did wine marketing with him. And as his business grew, since I was someone that started early on, then he kind of pushed me along and I grew with him. And I was doing in-store tastings, like how you in the grocery store. And they're like, oh, would you like to try some sausage? Would you like to have this?
Yeah.
That was me. But I was like, would you like to try some wine? So people loved it. Or they didn't. It depended on, it's crazy, depending on what neighborhood I was in, what people would like, what they wouldn't like. So did that. And then he started doing trainings. And then I started helping with those. I took some trips to France, to wine regions, got more certifications. I started doing more training classes, speaking at wine fairs. And then just, things just kind of moved from there. I started teaching at a college in Maryland, doing a wine course there. I started pitching myself and sending out proposals to speak at conferences. I started doing that. And then that's how I was speaking in Croatia when I met the woman who sent me the email to bring me over to Paris to change the trajectory of my life.
Yes. Yeah.
Yes. So that was the first part. The follow-up is, am I doing this in a full-time capacity? 95% of my energy is wine. Yes. I do have other projects that aren't wine related, only because here, since I'm doing wine as it relates to tourism is very slow in some months. Tourism is, cyclical, like January, February, March. Tourism is slow, almost non-existent. So I am very light on tourism and wine work during that time. So I have other projects that I pick up, which is teaching English, because I speak it pretty well. I've been speaking English for several years now. It's my native language. So
I would call you an expert.
Yeah, you qualify.
Yeah. Can kind of say expert. They say, was it 10,000 hours? 100% chance I've spoken English for 10,000 hours.
For sure.
Let me know if they want to take an Let me know if they want to take an elective in Ebonics. I'll help you there.
I'll have you zoom into my class.
Yes, I will.
Excuse me.
Sorry. A quick note for our listeners. Terry, she's been out in a little night air.
Yeah.
So excuse her if she coughs a little time or two
No.
today.
The truth is, I just put down my 12 packs a day. So.
Right. No. She just smoked 7 cigars.
Yeah.
Like, and time for the show.
No,
Goodness.
but yes, yeah, I'm available for Zoom. I'll put them on a little game, as we like to say.
Put them up on game. Not actually playing a game.
No, but kind of back to you in the space of wine. How hard or easy was it for you to tap into this business in Paris, particularly as a Black woman? And how has the experience been like for you overall?
Excellent question. The thing about being here that helps me out a lot is I'm not necessarily looked at as Black first. I'm looked at as American. And American is like a cool thing to be. Maybe not right now.
I was going to say, is that a good thing or a bad thing? But
like a few years ago, America was much more dope.
Right.
But people look at me as an American first. And when I first got here and, had all the confidence, was just like, all right, listen, I don't know no French. So I'm about to just hit you with all these English words and I'll speak them slowly so you can try to talk back to me and we can have these conversations. It was fine. It was still strange a little bit for me because I would be the only one. I have seen a few other Black men at tastings or events. I rarely see Black women. And sometimes that made me stand out in a good way because people wanted to know, okay, who is she? What is she doing? What's happening? And while now I can navigate that space in French, there's sometimes I'll still speak English so people know I'm American. But then, of course, I still get the random comments most Black people get when they're in mainly or predominantly white spaces. I've had a gentleman ask me, oh, okay, so you're doing exports to Africa? Wow. I'm sorry, what? Africa? What? Like, why would you say that? And I'm looking at him like, why would you say that? He's like, oh, no, I thought, oh, okay. I'm like, you thought what? Like, nothing I said even, rhymed with Africa. So it didn't even begin with an A. So, how did you come up with, I'm doing exports to Africa?
Right.
So, needless to say, we didn't taste this wine, whatever. We continued on with our day. But just little things like that. Yeah, but I have not found it to be as difficult as I'll say as the time I had. I wouldn't even say it was that difficult in America, only because when I was navigating this in America, I was always with white. So I didn't have to necessarily speak for myself. I was with them, so I was validated because of who I was with.
Okay. What's your go-to bottle of wine? Like the type or the brand? Do you have a specific type of brand of wine that's my girl?
Specific brand, no. Specific region, yes.
Okay.
When I'm thinking of my go-to, it is, if we're talking winter, it is red. It is from Languedoc, so in the south of France. So anything from Languedoc, Languedoc, anything from red from that region, kind of my go-to. And I won't say a specific winery or style, just because there's so many. And the selection is so different at each place. So unless it's like a major brand, it's really hard to keep up. Like, oh, I want to find this one brand, to find that brand consistently in shops around the city.
Okay. All right.
And with so much wine being available, just try new things from the same region. It's great. Ask some questions. That's how you learn.
Do you personally source wines from other countries where wines are majorly produced, or do you stick strictly to wines from France or in the EU? EU. I'm sorry, EU. Good grief.
It is so hard to find wines outside of France, in France. So I'd have to go to a specialty shop. There are some shops that just sell Spanish wine or just sell Portuguese wine or Italian or Greek. And they'll have events for those particular regions. But if I'm just going to my neighborhood local spot, it's all French wine. I remember when I first moved here, I was doing a tasting with some friends online, and we were doing Sauvignon Blanc. Mm-hmm. And they were like, oh, Tanisha, you get one from New Zealand. I was like, why? When I'm in France? But okay, whatever. I went in a few wine shops, and I was like, oh, yeah, I want a Sauvignon Blanc from New Zealand. The guy was like, why?
Wow.
Because I want money. He's like, why? New Zealand? He's like, we have sunset, we have terrain, we have this. And he named all of the French wine regions that grew Sauvignon Blanc. And I was like, so you're saying no? You don't have anything else? Is that what we're doing? We have nothing?
So I can't try
it? Right. It's like, so no. Now, I have since found places that sell wines from everywhere. Mm-hmm. But I don't always want it to be like a whole trip and a destination that I have to, okay, let me get my bag together and get my Metro card and travel out to this place. No, I just want to walk to my neighborhood spot. Mm-hmm. That's, a 5-minute walk and grab something. Yeah. It's gonna be fun.
So you talked about, I know a part of your brand is that you do host kind of tasting experiences and you host wine classes.
Yes.
What does an experience look like with you? And kind of now that you mentioned that, you only have your most accessible source is French wines, which makes sense. Mm-hmm. When you give that experience to your clients, is it just from the French perspective, or do you incorporate other wines as well and through your tasting? I know that was a loaded question.
The through the experiences that I do here, it's just French wine. Now, I do it like that with just French wine because a lot of people don't actually drink French wine. They have heard of it, but they don't drink it because they find it confusing. Most people aren't French. They're like, what does this label say? What do these words mean? Is this the grape? Is this a region? How do I know what grapes are in what? Or like, what do all of these French words on this label mean? So I do the French wines and have the labels, and we go into a wine shop and we go to a wine bar so I can show people this is the label, then this is what it tastes like. And then this is how French people drink wine, like in their life. It's not as big an event here in France for wine. It's like, today's Tuesday, we're about to drink. Doesn't have to be a big production. I ask them what kind of things they drink typically and try to give them something along those lines that's French. Or sometimes I'll just give them something completely different, let them blind taste it, and then they are able to find something or discover something that they really enjoy that they wouldn't have tried before. A big one I like to blind taste is Chardonnay. People usually have a very specific feeling and reaction to and about Chardonnay. And like, oh, I don't like it. Or, oh, it's this. Or, oh, it's that. And I'm like, just 1 second. And when I give them a French style, which isn't heavily oaked, which is, maybe has a little age on it, which was possibly fermented in stainless steel, or maybe it's sparkling, it is so different than what they think of as Chardonnay or what they're used to as Chardonnay. So I like for people to taste French wine, and I like for it to open their mind up to the possibilities of what French wine is and why France has been, one is the premier wine and what everybody kind of strives to be. Yeah. And they've been making wine for since the beginning of time.
Right.
So they kind of got a little head start on America.
They kind of know.
Some people, a little bit, yeah.
I'm curious, since you're the face of your wine tasting experiences, do you have a lot of your clients, are they Black people or Black women that come and, do these tours and these tastings with you?
Majority, yes.
Okay.
A lot of mine, because one, I am the face.
Yeah.
Two, a lot of my business comes from word of mouth. So being the face and being a Black woman and talking to Black women, then those Black women tell other Black women. Yeah. And then it kind of goes from there. I do work with a few concierge companies as well. And so I get a different set of people from there. And then also have a couple tours that I offer online on TripAdvisor and things like that. And I get people from all over from there. So I'm talking all over, like not just American, Canadian, Australian, English speaking, of course. Yeah, mostly Black women. And cool. They bring their Black men with them. So that's kind of cool too.
Yeah, that's really cool.
One thing that you mentioned when you reached out was that you like to talk about this, the space of understanding wine language. Can you share a little bit more about that? And is that part of your core in, the experience in your classes as well?
Yes. Because wine language as it stands intimidates a lot of people. A lot of people feel like they don't want to ask questions. They don't want to engage with a sommelier or a wine shop owner because they don't know wine language and they can't speak the way wine people speak. Mm-hmm. And I always want to implore people to just use regular words, but use your words and use more descriptive words. I have a wine wheel that I use. I didn't create it. It came from a woman out of UC Davis in California. And she created this wine wheel, and I use it for the flavors and aromas. And it starts with, you break it down into spice, herbs and vegetables, fruit, and flowers. So if you think about wine in terms of those 4 larger categories, what you get from it, then you can break it down further. Like say, okay, I get fruit. Okay, what kind of fruit? Is it berry fruit? Is it citrus fruit? Oh, it's citrus fruit. Okay, what kind of citrus fruit? Is it lemon, lime, grapefruit? You can just continue to break it down. And you do that because once you know the flavors you like, the aromas you like, then you can tell someone else that. You can go into a wine shop and say, you know what, I'm looking for a white wine with hints of citrus. I like it kind of with some grapefruit, not really any oak, and not too heavy. That is a perfect description. You have used all regular words, none of that fancy stuff you see in wine descriptions. And that person can help you get a bottle of wine that you will enjoy. It doesn't take all the flowery language. Like, yes, I can use that, and sometimes I do, but for the most part, it's I'm looking for something full body, maybe a little spicy, heavy, dark fruit. It can be aged in oak. I don't care. I'm eating beefsteak. There you go. Now, when you do this, make sure you're asking someone who can actually help you. Like, you need to be in a wine shop for this. Like, don't go in a grocery store.
Right.
Because that dude can tell you, like, all right, well, we got the Flaming Hot Cheetos. Those are out 7. But, like, he's not going to be able to tell you about this Bordeaux that you might have grabbed off the shelf.
Okay. She's giving us little mini crash courses right now. I'm learning something.
I was taking notes.
Thank you. Thank you. Did you have...
And also a good thing when it comes to, if you don't know wine language or you're nervous about using those words, mention what you usually drink. If you usually drink Barefoot Merlot or Stella Rosa or, the Bartonura Moscato, that's fine. Say, this is what I usually drink. I would like to drink something similar. I'm eating this or not eating that, whatever. That's also very helpful as well.
Okay.
No, I'm not going to hold you. Depending on that budget, I won't hold you on the Stella. I might grab me one.
Stella makes me happy.
But we did visit a winery. We went to Cape Town, South Africa, a couple years
like
ago?
3 years ago.
3 years ago? Gosh, seemed like yesterday.
Yeah.
When we visit, I know they have a rich culture for wineries out there as well. And we visited one of their major ones.
Groot
Crostonsha?
I don't know.
Oh, yes.
But
yes.
Oh, yes. Oh, see.
Okay.
Man. When I tell you.
Yeah.
We enjoyed ourselves.
We sure did.
And I guess for those who had never experienced a wine experience or true like going to, and this is just our interpretation. We've only been to California. Well, but this one was a little different and special.
I've been to like 7.
To a few.
But
we only been to a few, 20.
To 23.
When I say I've never had a bottle that just I can't even put my we bought the max amount of bottles we could take back. I think it was like 7 or 8 at the time.
I don't even know.
I don't know. But we finished those really quickly.
Sure did.
But it was an amazing experience, and
they're reds.
The reds,
the
yes.
Reds were.
I want to say, was it a Bordeaux? I don't know.
I don't remember.
I mean, that Bordeaux is French. I can't remember what the brand was, but
it was good.
It was good.
It was thick and creamy, and it was delicious.
You said creamy?
It was for me. It was like a creamy type of. It was thick.
It was creamy vibe.
Yeah. It was. I'm missing that.
I miss it too. And it was interesting too because when we brought them back to the U.S., we're used to like you pop it open, it's a little cork. They had it was like wax over it or something. It took us a minute to figure out how to.
That takes a minute.
Yes.
It's beautiful to look at, but I'm like,
yes.
Exactly.
It's all under your fingernails.
Yes.
You scrape it off. It's all over the floor.
All of that.
It took us a minute. But when we
was cute at first.
Yeah, it was.
They're like, it's gonna be worth your while once you get in this, but you got to work.
You really had to work to get into that bottle.
Listen, you earned it after you take that off.
Oh yeah.
And right, you do all that wax. It's still a cork in here.
Right.
Stop pulling the cork out. Like the wine should just shoot out after you pull the wax off.
Right. Exactly.
But no, that's kind of segue. I know you had your question, Terry.
Yeah. Segue. Like I said, you just educated us and our listeners on. I like the whole what do you call it? The wine wheel. The wheel.
Mm-hmm. Yes, I like that too.
I'll look that up online if you need.
Yes, I love that. But you also have a podcast.
I do.
Yeah, called Wine School Dropout, which I love the name. I think that is so cute. But on your podcast, you have these mini crash courses on all things wine. Can you just share with us what sparked your desire to create your show?
I've been wanting to do a podcast for like forever, and stopped and started, thinking that I needed to have other people do it with me or things like that. But I really wanted something that was just education. I love listening to podcasts and like having conversations and listening in on people's conversations and interviews and things like that. But when it came to wine, I felt like a lot of wine people were talking to each other, and there was a large group of people that weren't at the space or couldn't even understand or didn't care about those conversations. If you're interviewing a winemaker, like, okay, that can be interesting to me if it's a region that I like or a wine that I'm interested in, or this person has a fascinating story. But if I just want to go to the store, or I'm going to a nice dinner and I want to get a good bottle of wine, that doesn't tell me or help me figure out what to do. So I wanted something that is just the most basic, this is what you do. So it came up with the name Wine School Dropout, just popped in my head because I wanted it to be education. At the end, it's short episodes, 10, 11 minutes. At the end of each episode, we do Cliff's Notes. And so, like, I hope that didn't date me by knowing what Cliff's Notes are, because I have been asked, what is a Cliff's Note? I'm like, what? How do you not know what a Cliff's Note is? But then I was like, all right, fine. I know the young generation don't be reading at all, so fine. But do the Cliff Notes at the end that just gives you the three key points that I touched on in the episode. And also Wine School Dropout. Just wanted to do a play on, I'm from Chicago, so I love a little Kanye. And so this came up in my head as a kind of a nod to that. Mm-hmm. And then also for people that don't want to go to wine school, that don't want to know that much. Everybody doesn't want a certification. Everybody doesn't want to be able to write a wine list and, do the numbers and order wine. Everybody doesn't want to know. So This podcast is for them. And it's also funny to me because like I'm the complete opposite of a wine school dropout, but
that's
here
true.
we are.
Yeah.
No, I enjoy listening to your podcast. It's like they're like about 10, 11 minute quick shows, you guys. But I was listening to even just your first one. I like how you even make like your storyline is very just like how you are here. It's very like interactive and it's cool. Like you give history like in a fun way. And yes, I enjoyed listening to your show and all the things that you talk about on wine. So yes.
Thank you.
Yes.
Yeah, and if anyone has any other topics or anything they'd want to see in future seasons, then definitely let me know for future episodes.
Hit up Wine School Dropout.
Yes, because I want to make sure it is for the people, and I don't want it to be talking down to anyone or talking at anyone. I want it to just be like a conversation.
Yeah.
Not an actual conversation like interview but narrated. So, because you see how I talk here, like I would get off topic, so it has to be narrated, so I can actually say what I need to say about it, and just give people information in small bites.
You definitely make the world of wine so much more easily accessible. Just for us regular folk. So we appreciate that. Thank you so much.
Yes.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of segueing a little bit back into the space. Well, we guess we haven't left the space of wine.
No, we have not.
But we were talking about wineries. I had just a thought that just came up have you been introduced to any Black-owned wineries or winemakers throughout this process and experience?
Absolutely. It's a Black woman that makes champagne. And I have done a few tastes with her. She is now a friend. I love her champagne. She is from, she's from Guadeloupe. And as a nod to her, upbringing, instead of regular sugar for that part of the champagne process, she uses sugar cane. So it has like a different flavor profile on the backing, but it's amazing. And she does a Blanc de Blanc, which is usually my favorite, 100% Chardonnay. And she has her house style. She does a rosé, and they're fantastic. Every time I talk with her, I learn so much. Her story is riveting. It's Marie Césaire is the name of her champagne brand. Definitely look it up. If you come to France, definitely try to get on the calendar. Well, talk to me.
Oh, yeah. I was going to say, we're going to get through the experience through you. We want you to take us.
Right. Just tell you take us to Marie Césaire.
Yes. We might have a Melanated Conversations event led by
Yes.
A wine experience and tour led by Tanisha.
Yes. That would be fun.
Yeah, that would be
Let's
fun.
talk about it, okay?
Yeah, we've done a couple champagne tastings that I've done with her for other guests that have come in. We've done wine lunches. I've worked with other tour groups where they set something up with her. So yeah, she does amazing. And she says that I wanted to do something for Black women because I'm a Black woman.
Yes.
I love that.
Oh man, that's so awesome. That's so awesome. Okay, I'm gonna go a little light here. I feel like we went a little heavy. I want to go a little light real quick.
Heavy?
Okay.
That was heavier than what I'm about to ask.
Oh, okay. Oh gosh, I don't even want to know.
Now I'm nervous. Okay, sit down. All right.
This probably should have been a rapid fire question now that I think about it. Tanisha.
I'll rapid answer.
Okay. Is the statement, the blacker the berry, the sweeter the juice, true?
Hey, that's real though.
Inquiring minds want to know.
Not always.
Okay.
When it comes to grapes, as far as a berry, not always.
Okay.
No, because there are actually some really dark grapes, thick skin, and they are very dry, like Syrah, or Shiraz. That one.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. It's not that sweet.
Yeah, I'm not a Shiraz fan.
So, you've ever had that? I mean, I love it, but it's not sweet.
Yeah, you're right. Okay.
Is it true though? Like the smaller grapes are they carry the more sweeter. They produce the sweeter, varieties.
Sometimes. The thing with wine is you grow the grapes a certain way, but how the wine turns out is ultimately up to the winemaker. Mm-hmm. So it can be a slightly sweet grape, but then when you go through the wine process, fermentation, that sugar turns into alcohol. So you lose some of that sweetness. So when you get it finally in wine form, it might not be sweet at all. Right. It might be, 16% alcohol.
So it just depends. It depends on
It depends, yeah.
Okay. All righty.
All right. Well, we'll kind of get ready to close our bottles.
What? It's over?
We can pour another glass. Oh, no.
I think you're the first guest we've had that's like, wait, what?
Let's keep going.
And the rest of them are like, oh my God. They got timers going off in the back. Like, well, let's wrap it up.
You can't tell these two.
Man.
Two sellers to keep going,
right?
Because we like the ones that, like, when you go visit somebody and the grandma was like, all right now, I'll let y'all go, but before we go,
right.
No, but kind of winding down a bit, as someone who is so immersed in wine on a daily basis, do you ever get tired of it? Like, is it something that you just I know especially in the culture, wine is just very threaded there, and it's just something that you do every day. Versus here, we may be something maybe on a special occasion or to wind down. No pun intended. But is this something that you ever grow tired of doing? Because it's not only is it a part of your business, but it's part of your lifestyle there. And kind of as a follow-up, is wine your source of relaxation, or do you have to relax from wine? Do you have to relax from wine?
It's funny you asked that, because one of my goals for 2020 was to get a hobby, like something that I just do that's just fun, not like a side hustle. I'm trying to make any money. I just want to do it, and it's fun. It's, or relaxing or something, but it's something I just do. And wine used to be that for me, but now it's not. Now it's a business. It's a job. So it's different. Do I get tired of it? Kind of, sometimes. There are times when I'm at a wine tasting and I leave because I'm like, oh my gosh, I've already had like 20 things. Like I'm tired. I don't want to drink anything else. Or I hate to say it, but on visits, when they send us on these trips and they're like, oh, come visit our winery. And then you go to like 5 different places and they want you to taste everything.
Right.
You're like, listen, I don't need to see another barrel, not another tank. All these vines look the same. Like, okay, grapes grow on the vine outside from the ground. It rains, the sun comes out. Got it. Do y'all have any beer? I want to drink something else. So what you're saying, yes, there are times I get tired of wine, and I drink beer. I'm very particular with beer, though. I don't just drink beer as a whole. I like blonde beer, Weizen or Belgian beer, those kind of things. or my number one go-to over, underneath wine is gin and tonic.
Really?
You make me a tonic, yes. You make me a gin and tonic, we're good. So that is me taking a break. Or even after a long day of wine tasting, you think like, oh, let me just drink water. Yeah, I drink water too, but just that effervescence that you get from the tonic and the gin and tonic. I need that extra. I need that flavor. So, but I'm not drinking wine, reading about wine, listening to a wine podcast, talking about wine, writing about wine. I'm drinking a gin and tonic and listening to a true crime podcast, actually.
Man, those things are like super popular. I never realized how many people love those little true crime podcasts. People go crazy over those things.
It is slightly crazy. And sometimes I'm like, okay, Tanisha, you need to listen to something a little happier. Like somebody should get murdered. You don't need this in your head as you get on the metro and these people are pushing you.
Right. Oh my goodness. Wow.
No, that's good to know. And we're gonna I know Tyrion was just there last summer or last spring, I should say. Yeah. But we have some plans in the works. We're gonna come out there and visit you.
Well,
Tanisha.
yeah, because I need to come.
Yeah, I'm sorry you didn't know me then, girl.
I'm sad I didn't. I said it all the time like I'm mad. But here's the thing though. I'm actually glad because my thing is I need to come to Paris sans my husband and children. My husband, my children, it was a family thing. We all went. I need to go just, the girls.
We're coming.
Yeah.
We're coming.
Definitely.
It's so funny. That is it's such a different experience too. Like when you come over with a mate, boyfriend, husband, that kind of thing, you have one experience. It's a fine experience. You have a great time. Yeah. But then when you come over like with your girls and do that, it is a different experience for sure. Paris is so many different things. And that's something that's funny to me because I've lived in other places before. And those places are kind of still the same. Like I lived in D.C. for several years. And D.C. is the same when I was single, when I had a boyfriend, when I lived with somebody, when, I was with my girls, when I was with the guy. Like D.C. is still kind of the same. Yeah. But here in Paris, you can have so many different experiences based on who you're with and what you're into. And Paris is it can be what you want it to be. And the reason I'm saying this is because so many people are like, oh, I didn't like Paris. Oh, I hate it. And I'm like, what did you see? What did you do? Yeah. Like, how can you hate this most amazing place on earth? Yeah. I mean, second to Chicago. But
No, I like what you said there because one of the things that, when we travel, we like to experience not just from a tourist lens and experience, we want to experience the realness and the rawness of the culture from the locals' perspective. So now I know someone who's like truly living in that.
Yeah. I'm going to have you in the hood now, so watch yourself.
Hey, I mean,
as long as you know the hood, we're good. As long as you know.
We can pull a hood out of it. No problem.
But no, I'm so serious about that. In our listeners, hey, if you would love to, experience the trueness of Paris and want to experience all that Tanisha has going on, let us know. We might put together a nice little MC, Melanated Conversations wine
tour. That would
be
dope. That would be so much fun. So much fun.
Even if it's just me, if it's just me and Terry and we're going on the tour,
we gonna be there. Me,
that's enough.
Yana, and Tanisha. That's it. Yeah. I'm okay with that.
I'm okay with that too.
Yes. Alrighty. Well, Tanisha, before we actually for sure shut this thing down, we do have a few closing questions for you. So my question to you is, what is your power word for 2020 and why?
Oh, this is an excellent question because I do have a power word. I do a word every year. But this year my word is authority, the noun and the verb. I want to be an authority in my field. Like I want to, when it comes to French wine and people coming here to ask about French wine or talking about French wine, I want to be an authority on that. Yeah. And then also I want to take authority of when I'm hosting tours or when I'm standing in the classroom or when I'm in front of a tour group, be an authority. And, this is my group, this is my tour, this is my class. You all need to pay attention, listen up, I'm the one. So my power word of the year is authority.
Let them know. Authority. Yes, noun and verb. I love it.
I know. I love that.
Sometimes I got to go black woman on and be like, sit down. My first close.
Love her.
Yeah, it's the best. Like some of them, I mean, like y'all getting out of hand. I'm like, how are you just in here playing YouTube videos? Like I'm literally standing in front of the class and it's a kid playing YouTube videos on his phone.
Oh no!
Sorry, you don't even want to put headphones in, sir?
At least
You got to go fake. All right, so
wow.
authority.
Yes, ma'am.
Authority.
Yeah.
Yes, I love it. I love it. I love it. What are some projects that you have in the works for 2020?
A couple of things. Well, continuing on with the podcast and a new season, I definitely want to, one topic I know I want to touch on for the new season is natural wine and organic wines, because people have a lot of questions about those. We'll see if I can get that done in 10 minutes. It might end up being 2 episodes, but I'm going to hit on natural wine. Another thing I'm working on is a wine guide for Paris. Where you can go to just get a glass of wine, or where you can go to buy a bottle of wine, and then like a couple of tips on how to ship wine back to the States, or how to properly pack it in your luggage, and what some of the rules and regulations are on that. And also hosting small like aperos or happy hours, like they call it apéro here. So just like a little before dinner kind of thing, where we do like some light food and wine pairing, and want to start doing that probably next month. And I'll be doing that at my home. Oh. So if people are coming into town, they can, hit me up for that, or other expats who live here in Paris, they can come by and we do like a little quick talk. They will be on my social media. So, they have to be okay with that. And we'll do some pairings, and I'll be sourcing wines that aren't French. Yes, there will be French wines as well, but it'll be all themed. So it'll be Spanish wine and Greek wine and wines for summer, and, wine cocktails and things like that.
Awesome.
Yeah.
I'm so fascinated about this conversation today. I'm like, I didn't realize there was a wine for summer, wine for winter.
Right.
I feel a little, I need some more of your courses.
Definitely.
Are there any courses like anyone like for in the U.S., like if they wanted to take something now, do you have anything in the work for as like teaching outside of like in person?
I don't yet. I don't. I had looked into doing some online courses, like creating them, but then I was like, that was more work required than I had time for.
Yeah.
So that's something that's like down the line that I'll do. But yeah, we definitely want to do that.
It's okay. We're coming to you anyway.
Not a problem. Not a problem at all. Not a problem.
Right. I know now, like my superpower is that I'm here. So like, let me use my time here and my being here in the best way possible. And that's to show people a great experience as it relates to wine.
For sure. For sure. Okay, Tanisha. So last question before we go. How can our listeners connect with you?
I am everywhere. I'm Girl Meets Glass is the name I go by, my alter ego and business name. Mm-hmm. Instagram, Facebook. You can email me, Tanisha at Girl Meets Glass. Also have social media for the podcast, Wine School Dropout, and Instagram, Facebook for that as well. Yeah, I think that's everything.
Okay. Well, we want to thank you so much for sharing with us today. I hate that we couldn't pour a glass together, but that will come in due time.
I'm actually abstaining this month, so.
Oh, I'm not.
Oh, the whole month you're doing dry January?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I'm not. I'm partaking on her behalf, so we can talk offline of what I should partake into next. No, but thank you so much for joining and sharing your story today. Of course, this is what we do. We just love sharing and amplifying the voices of Black women, sharing their powerful stories of transformation, and just, sharing our lessons together and celebrating our successes. Mm-hmm. So thank you for sharing with us today and your knowledge in everything wine.
Yes.
Thank you for having me.
Of course.
Yes.
You are always welcome back.
Absolutely. Always.
All right. If I'm ever in y'all neck of the woods, I'm gonna be like, hey y'all, I'm in town.
Please do. Seriously.
And bring some of that French wine with you.
Yeah, do that.
In a bun.
Like, I got a bottle.
Exactly.
That's all you got to say.
Right.
Just send us an emoji with a bottle. We're like, okay.
Like, girl, that's all you have to say.
What time? When's your arrival time?
Face and a red wine.
We'll pick you up from the airport.
Ain't no problem. Have a little sign and everything. Girl Meets Glass.
Yes. We wear a t-shirt.
Right.
Oh, man. Man, we had so much fun today.
This was fantastic. Thank you ladies so much.
Yes.
It's such a pleasure being here and being able to talk to you all. So thank you.
Absolutely. And the same. But yes, you guys, again, let us know. Let's share your thoughts. Reach out to Tanisha.
Absolutely.
She's a resource to us all. But grab your glass, pour it up.
Yeah.
Pour it up, pour it up, man. And, just chill with that until you connect with us next time.
Yeah.
So until then,
melanate on that. Thank you for tuning in. Hope you enjoyed our chat today. Keep the conversation going by heading to iTunes to subscribe, rate, and leaving us a review.
Have a story of your own to share? Email us at info@melanatedconversations.com or connect with us on social media at Melanated Conversations. Till next time, keep raising your voice.